Hi, and welcome to Dogman Teepee Hunting. If you're watching on YouTube or any other streaming service, and if you're listening to this or you want to listen to this, then you can find it on the Interdimensional Voyagers podcast, which is on Spotify, YouTube, all your normal podcast providers. I'm Phil Cottville, and I've got with me today, he's back for a second time, which is brilliant, Mr. Ian Wood. He's an investigator and explorer really, as well, and got a wealth of knowledge about cryptids, Dogman especially, and had a lot of interactions with them. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Ian Wood. Hi, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing, Phil?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, not
Excellent.
too bad. Not too bad,
I,
thank you.
I don't know much about the Explorer bit, but
Well, you do a bit
yeah,
of exploring. Yeah. I've seen you get out your car and exploring up and down. Yeah, I've seen that, and you've done videos as well. He's got his own YouTube channel as well. If you'd like to tell us your YouTube channel.
oh, it's just Ian Wood, or I think it's 7477 Ian Wood, if I think
Yeah, I'm glad you remembered that. I couldn't
correctly.
remember that. I knew it was Ian Wood, but I
No,
couldn't remember. Anyway,
yeah,
check
okay.
it out. Really good. Because there's no, what I like about Ian's videos, it's no fluffing it up. There's no special effects. There's no intros really. It's nothing like that. It is basically him going out um, and taking footage of, and sometimes he's caught some really good stuff. He's really caught some good stuff in woods and forests near where he lives. And also other places as well, because he went off with Colin as well, didn't he? Done some really good
Yeah, that
videos.
was middle of May. That was up Dalby Forest and Bampton,
Yeah.
Flixton. Yeah, I had a great time. Dalby Forest especially. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Was it good? Was it?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, it was a pretty warm day. That was the
Mm.
16th of May. But yeah, that was fantastic. I had a really, it's just sort of like wish you could stay a couple of days more, but got to get
Oh,
back.
was it only a day? Was it?
Yeah, well, I went up for 2 days and we did Danes Dyke, Bampton, uh, drove sort of through Flixton, and Colin was sort of pointing out all the different sightings and some of the local history. But
Yeah.
basically, we spent the whole day at Dalby, and
Okay.
we just both of us just got a feeling we were just followed around everywhere. We found some really good paw prints, some big ones, a lot of tree sign, just crossed over, foregrown trees pushed across in an X shape, and we found some structures. They were old ones, but a couple of them were in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it was just really really great.
Do
Yeah.
you when they put these structures across a path, and you find like an uprooted tree and it goes across a path, you
Oh
go
yeah,
walking
yeah, yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah.
Is
It's
that
just
to stop you, or is that
yeah,
to?
yeah. It's if you find it where it's wide enough for a vehicle or a horse.
Mm,
Because there's a couple of pathways around Nooney Woods where are like that. Especially there's an access for a 4x4 in one part of the wood, and sometimes they just drop a tree right in the middle, and a couple of days later the guys come around with a chainsaw, cut it up.
yeah.
2-3 weeks go by, and then they just drop another one. But
Okay.
it's some of the trees that are over 60 foot high, big thick ones, and they just absolutely snapped in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've only ever had a tree like that being snapped, or I mean literally destroyed, and that was 2019, I think. Well, that was wild men doing that. There was about 2 or 3 of them, because one of them I caught behind me, hiding behind a tree, sticking his head around me. I reversed my camera and took a quick picture of him. And it's sort of
Okay.
like a cone head. But when I was walking down the path, honestly, it just sounded like a wrecking ball in the place. It was loud, and it was just like a massive crash snap.
Right.
So I just carried on, and when I got there, the tree was already sort of broken in two. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, like if you get a match and snap it, like an L shape. It was like that, up and
Yeah, it's
like
quite
literally.
high up. When they snap them, they're about 4 or 5 foot
Yeah, but
high.
this one was halfway up. And they say there's about 3 or 4 examples I've seen where you get like a 60, 70-foot tree,
Right.
and like literally 30 foot up or 30, 40 foot right in the middle. It's just snapped in the middle,
Okay, there's
and
going to
the
be people
shards.
out. Sorry, go on in.
I'm gonna say, I've only ever heard it once being done. Like I say, honestly, it's like something. You got guys like I describe as a wrecking crew. It's just so loud, like a smash bang. And when I was walking down the path, I had to cut up the other side of an embankment. I'm going up, and I could see where the tree had been destroyed. So I thought, whoever did this it obviously heard me coming and fled. So I made this video, and I was like, they were just like literally here. And then something sort of said, turn your phone camera around, which I did. I took a couple of snaps over my shoulder. There was one sticking its head out behind the tree.
Right.
It was probably about 5, 6 foot behind me.
Okay. How
But
tall was it? What was it?
7 foot. It was bigger than me. It was about 7 foot, but it's just sticking its head out like that. Had a cone
Okay.
shape.
So
I
yeah,
like,
because in America, when they talk about Bigfoot or Sasquatch, they always say it's like got a conical shaped head.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there is. They say the 7. I've seen them 7 times in 8 years up there. I've seen one Thursday evening about 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
maybe like 2020. I saw something move in between the trees, and it was just, it was huge. I could see an up an arm and a shoulder, and it was like 2 of me stood on top of each other. And I'm 6'3", and I just thought, right, that's how I'm going. I've never said, I've never relayed that story actually, because
Okay.
I don't put that down as a full blown, because it was a quite a few, well over 100 meters away. But I
Right.
caught the right arm and the shoulder. I couldn't even see the head because the tree canopy was covering it. But
Okay.
it just moving between 2 trees. And I caught the right arm, elbow up, onto the shoulder, onto the side of the neck. And whatever it
You're
was,
you're saying that. So what you're saying is you're 6'3", and it was about twice the height of you. So you're talking
yeah,
closer to 12 foot high. This
yeah,
thing
quite
was
easy. Yeah,
12 foot.
yeah, it was. It just moving. I was just going. Because I mean, you had a report, like, I think last time we talked, that you had that 15-footer in Norfolk
Yeah.
from last year.
Yeah.
And
There's been reports. There's been reports, yeah, of really huge ones.
there's, up in Scotland, in the Highlands, which they call the grey man. I mean, they've had some. I mean, those things aren't 7, 8 foot. I mean, these things are like 10 foot plus.
Mm.
These are the ones that they reckon are quite cannibalistic.
Yes, yes, that's right. The ones in Scotland, these different tribes, I've been told, have got different names to them. Like the one tribe is called like the Redbacks or something. Is it
Hmm.
the guy that told me about these different the names for them also told me that the ones like you did actually when we last spoke, exactly the same. He corroborated you exactly. They're very much more intolerant of us. If we
Yeah.
go into somewhere in a forest by Loch Lomond, because I love Loch Lomond, if I go into a forest near there, a really thick, heavily dense forest there, and I will hear wood knocks. I will hear a lot, and they hammer. They hammer like they. It's not just where we are, where we people often hear like, and it's a distinctive sound, isn't it, Ian, of a
Yeah.
large tree being knocked. It's a distinctive, sort of like hollowish, wooden hollowish sound. Nothing else would make that noise.
Yeah.
Hitting a tree except a large branch or something hitting it. We're really clobbering it.
Yeah.
Up there, it's drumming. It's drumming. They drum. It's almost like they'd like just get out, go. There's drumming, and that's the truth. I've heard that up there. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never heard drumming. I've heard one morning, maybe about 6 weeks ago, because sometimes I can hear this cockerel way off at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I heard this like yahoo call, about the same distance, and I thought, oh, that's got to be one of them. Because I actually, because obviously I go for the wolves, and one morning I thought, I'm going to I'm going to make a video. I'm going to howl and see what response I got.
Yeah.
And I got a and a smack. I went, sorry, mate. Okay, I won't do that again. But I deleted the video because I thought, because they know. They always seem to know that something's up. But yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty quick.
And
So.
that was in 2020 that you saw this like massive big, and you
Oh,
didn't. You did. I just want
yeah,
to go
just
on that because that is to me is absolutely amazing. I mean, to go out and now I haven't seen personally a woodwose or wild man in our forest other than in Cannock Chase, but that was at a great distance. Camera picked it up. I never saw it, but it's once again debatable when you look at it on camera because it's at such a distance. But you can see it. I slowed it down to it, and I can see it turning. But the it's hard to get any distinct height. I've never been that close to one. I've seen the height, and when you tell me it's 12 foot, that's like what?
I mean, I've seen. I think out of the seven, I think the best one is one where I'm walking down. It was the same area where the tree had been smashed, and off to my right, there's another one walking towards me, and it's just got a stick, and it's just smacking the trees, like with a wooden stick, like I used to do with a iron grating. You run along and you get that click, 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 click.
Yeah.
And I looked up and I saw it, and it must have been a dewbar because it was only like 5 or 6 foot. And I raised my arm and I shouted morning to it, and it just like turned around. Its eyes went big, almost like shut itself, and it was gone. Because I think it was really surprised. Yeah, it was early, about 6 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And it just couldn't, just didn't really have a care.
See, that's the sound. That grate, a stick along a grate. That's the sound. When I say drumming, that's the sound that I heard. It's like multiple close. Was it like that? I don't know if you can hear it like that, but
Yeah,
like that. That's the sort of
yeah.
drum.
I've had. This was walking along. It was just smack the tree. Walking along, next one smack the tree with a stick it had in its right hand. And it just sort of reminded me, you know, like you see in some of these old films when the kids run along, they got the
Yeah,
iron fencing or grating, and they just smack it with a stick, you know, that click, click,
yeah,
click, click.
yeah, yeah.
And that I raised my right arm and you know I said good morning or shouted morning to it, and it just like whipped its head round, look at me, and his eyes went big, like you know, like what the hell, and he was gone. It just
See, this is
shot into.
interesting. This is interesting. So when I see tree breaks, and it's like we're talking branches, and funny enough, the tree breaks um, often happen with trees that are in the middle of a wood, in the middle, not on the
Yeah,
peripheries of the woods where like they're open
yeah,
to the elements. They're all protected by. You would think when I go into wood, and it's windy. Um, I try not to because I don't want widowmakers. But when you do, or you're in there and you can hear the trees swaying and that lovely rustling sounds. When I come towards the outer edge of the woods, yeah, you can feel the wind coming. You can feel it.
mm,
But when you're in, it kind of the trees break it up, don't they? They disturb the air, so it sort of is not quite so bad inside.
yeah.
So why then did a tree snaps happen that are so severe on I've seen them as you probably have, which these trees are I would say a good foot and a half to 2 feet across
Yeah,
the trunk, and they 4.5, 5 feet up, they're just snapped.
yeah.
Just now, is that Dogman or is that a wild man?
I know. For me, if it's down towards lower down towards the root and it's snapped at a right angle, I always take that as a wolf. Anything like bending trees, interlocking trees, because sometimes the wolf people they mimic wildman or sabe as a way of
Okay.
disguising their presence. That's what I think. And then sometimes they say they mimic each other, but certainly at the lower the tree root and it's snapped at a right angle, then that's the wolf. Because I've never seen or heard in all the years I've been doing this anything where the wild man has done anything similar to what the wolf people do. So
Right.
I I mean obviously the trees that were snapped in the middle, I would take that to be the wild man doing that. The ones recently I saw this year, there was two of them, and they say they're like 67 foot. They're like literally smashed in the middle. But there's one that was about maybe 200, 250 meters off to the left, where he'd just been smashed, laid on the ground, and the individual had made a makeshift shelter. Now I've been there a couple of times, and I sit there and I'll eat some sausages there because there was one time I think I'll tell you, I'm not sure if I sent you the picture. Um, it made its shelter where the root system was.
Okay.
And I'm sat there and I got a big black mask with a pair of golden eyes looking right back at me. No more than about 50 feet off to my right. And I left it some sausages. So that, you know, that wolf creature must have done that tree. But the other two trees, they were just absolutely like snapped like matchsticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right in the middle. And that is in a couple of videos I've made.
Mm.
Because it really is. I mean, you know, it really is quite something
So,
to see.
yeah.
You know, there's no other. It's right, like you say, it's right in the middle, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, how on earth? You know, some people say, oh, it's probably built up gas inside the tree and it exploded, or the wind did it. But you know, these are a good 10-foot circumference. You know, they're really good, thick and solid, and they're like say 67 foot tall,
Okay.
and they literally are smashed, splintered, shattered.
Yeah.
It's like someone's just gone up and then put a lot of pressure at the base of it, you know, its feet, and then try to sort of like push into the tree and then pull at the same time, hoping to snap it.
Yeah, the ones I saw one in Rendlesham Forest, and when I was there, and it was I took a video of it, and it was a very wide tree, but it almost look, you know, these presses you get like I sometimes watch these videos for no reason at all, and the videos are just because I find them fascinating, where all the video is you get a big hydraulic press, right? And the press comes down, and they put different stuff inside the press, and they just compress it until it just obliterates or just squidges
Yeah.
out, or whatever it may be. And I don't know, I just like and every now and then one will pop up of where they're you know, compressing wood. So they got a block of wood. And they put it under and now this press is something else. It's tons, if not hundreds of tons of pressure on it. It's an incredible thing. And wood just under this pressure just basically shatters into shards. Very, very sharp shards of wood just splinter out. But basically explodes, if you like. The ones tree breaks that I've seen, the big ones, look identical. They look the remnants of the tree. So where am I? The camera here. Right. Okay. So imagine that's the tree, and it breaks. They go like that. The tree is still attached, but it's not part of it. It's just laid to rest on top like that. And you've got maybe this part. You've got maybe 60, 70 feet of tree on this part, laying down on the ground, and it's just resting. So it's not connected. It's completely shattered and severed at this point here, completely.
Well, just to give you an idea, one of the recent Steve Nistel videos, he mentions a witness said one of these Sabe or wildmen lifting up a tree and throwing it a good 20, 30 feet. And these foresters, you know, looked at the tree and examined it, and they reckon this thing was 8 ton in weight. So for full adult, 8 to 10 foot, has got an 8 ton lift capacity. Maybe one or two of these things could quite easily snap a, you know, a huge 60 foot plus tree in two quite easily. I mean, I don't know how they sort of determine the mass weight of a tree, but you know, obviously these guys must have been experienced, and obviously, you know, the sort of mass and density of this thing. Well, they estimate it was when it ripped it out and lifted it and threw it. We're talking about an 8 ton capacity in terms of lifting this thing. So if one of those can do that, maybe one or two can quite easily snap a good thick solid tree.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
You know?
I think so. And it is, like you say, it's obliterated. Where the snap is, it's obliterated. I sometimes wish I had a little bit more time to gain some more knowledge on trees, to find out if the tree snaps are the same type of tree. I mean, do they do that to could they do that to an oak? Could they? I do know one thing. When I see the large X's, and they're proper trees, lifted up, taken out and just placed. I think when you were with Colin, there was one that I spotted on the video, and it was in the tree line, and that was a damned huge X in the tree line. But once again, but they always seem to be the white barked trees, narrow, not very thick, but quite narrow but long, and they got like silver birch almost.
I mean, I don't know why they do that. I mean, the only thing I've ever say going right back to the very beginning, in my first full year of this was around Chasey Heath, and this is where I saw my first wild man, and it walks in between two trees. It was way off to my right, but it's just the the movement exactly like as you see in the Patterson Gimlin film. And the fact I was expecting it to come out behind the other tree, and it didn't. But I saw it walk between, and the sun was to its right, so the sunlight's coming into the wood from an open field. So it was silhouetted perfectly, and it just sort of popped out from one tree, walked across a bit of open space, and then disappeared behind another tree. And I was expecting it to come out the other side, like walking. But the way it moved in between, exactly like that female sabe, sort of lopping with its arms like that. It was about 7 foot tall, I would guess. But these, you see these trees sort of pushed over, and then there's another tree pushed over somewhere else, and you're thinking that this looks a bit odd, but there's got to be some sort of master plan behind it. And then one day, again, so I was up in Chesney Heath, and I was walking around, and you see all these trees pushed over. And I thought, I walked to the edge of the wood where it's near the main road, and I looked. And when you look back into the woods, and all these random trees that are just like pushed over, when you look right in, they're all lined up. So at a certain angle. So like when you're in between them, there's one off to your left, there's one off to the right. There's no pattern to it. It just looks random. You think, oh, I'll tell you what, I'll push that tree over, or that one over there. But when you stand back, when you stand back, they look like they all line up, and they're all cross over. It's almost, it kind of reminded me like a landing strip, like a tunnel of crossed trees. In a way, it was really weird. But when you're walking amongst them, they all look random. There's no pattern to it.
Yeah.
And then you go back a few hundred meters, then you look at it head on, and they just all line up. I was like, wow, that is cool.
When they line up, I saw one where it was the same, where when I was close to it, it just looked like a couple of pushed over trees. Then I walked back, and I've got a photo of this. Your photos, I will be putting up, and people will be able to see them on screen with us as we go talking through. As I walked away and looked back, there was a pentagram. It made a pentagram, very clear pentagram. Like a Star of David, if you like. Yeah, like the It made one of those. I've got a photo of it. I'll load it up on here and have a look. So just to show people. See, that brings me. I've got a strong. I think there's a strong correlation. A lot of people have said no, like with the teepees and the structures and everything else. And with these trees that are all broken and in weird postures, leaning over, I think they are the equivalent within a forest of a crop circle.
Yeah.
They're as enigmatic as a crop circle. They're both physical. Nobody ever sees them being made. Nobody ever owns up really to them being made. They do form geometric shapes. Both of these crop circles and the structures we see. When you look at them, and you've rightly pointed out, they are geometric. They may not be on first hand close up, but you take a step back and look, and you got yourself a crop circle, but in a form made with trees.
Yeah. I would say, it's I say at the time, it just looks as though there's no pattern to it, and then literally having to walk back quite a distance near the main road and then look up, and they just all literally line up. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that was impressive. Yeah, it was like a long hallway. It was just um, when you see the officers, at a wedding, they cross swords and the bride and bridegroom come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah. I got it. I can visualize it now. Now I can visualize it. Yeah. I can visualize it very well.
yeah,
You're saying.
really, really interesting. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that
Mm, sorry, go on in.
those, yeah, I was going to say those still pictures I sent you yesterday from
Yeah.
May Lane.
Yeah. I'm going to get those loaded up
Look,
on this.
yeah, where the car's parked, there's one sticking its head over the wall,
Yeah.
and
So
then there's another still where it's moved back. Well, where the car is, there's a big tree hanging over, and there's one in there just right next to it. Because when I was reversing, when I was coming back, I reversed back a bit and then swung round to the right, and obviously I had to reverse back near to the wall to get back on the road. And I'm in drive. I feel my car being pulled back, and I was like, okay. I'm in drive. I got an automatic. My car's in drive, and I'm being pulled back towards the wall. So I hit the brake, park up, yeah, put it in park, handbrake, like you go back to driving school. So in drive, handbrake off. I start to pull away. I get pulled back a second time, and this time my heart's going boom, 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 boom. I was, I was like, oh my god. So I repeated what I'd just done, and this time nothing happened. But twice I got pulled back. I thought I was going to hit the wall.
right. Okay.
There's
Yeah.
no dip where you get a natural roll back before you've
Yeah.
got enough pressure on the accelerator to get you away. It's flat. It's hard, flat earth.
Right. Okay. Let's break it down a little bit more. Right. Because this doesn't happen all the while at all. So you got
No,
in your car, and what time is this? Early morning.
no. This is in the evening. I made
Evening.
that video. Yeah, I made that last night. After 6 o'clock.
Okay.
It's definitely quiet. It was definitely quiet.
Okay. And you got
Uh,
you then got you said, right. Okay. I'm gonna get in the car and go. You got in the
yeah,
car. You put it into drive. It's an automatic. Let the
mm,
handbrake off.
yeah.
Now,
So
it goes naturally forward anyway, slightly, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah. But initially, I had to pull back a bit just to get enough space to swing round and reverse back, so I could
Okay.
then turn right to get on the road. So I do that maneuver. So I'm reversing back, and I stop, put it in drive, so I can turn right, and the car rolls back. It's pulled back. There's no dip. There's no dip for me to roll back. And I stopped, put it in park, apply handbrake, repeat the process, drive handbrake off. I got pulled back again. I stopped, and I would say second time I was getting really really nervous, and maybe I don't know. I said it before. After I was like, oh, stop playing silly buggers, please. And third time, no problem. But on that second one, I was getting a bit nervous because I thought I was going to get pulled back and hit the wall. And I say it's private property on there.
Right. Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah.
Private estate, yeah, and because I just don't want them to think.
Crikey, that's incredible. That's incredible, Ian.
I've had one time about 2 years ago. I was up there with another chap who lives local. He's had a couple of encounters, and the top of my roof got pushed in. Like when you press down on a metal
Yeah.
surface and it pops back. You
Yeah.
get like
Yeah.
that popping sound. Yeah,
Mm,
I had that done to my car roof as well. He was there
yeah.
with me when it happened. That's when we were clapped at, laughed at, and all in the same afternoon. And
Okay.
we could hear the clapping. We could see the area where it was coming, where it was being made. but there was nothing there. And
Yeah.
then we heard this laughing. You know.
Yeah. I remember doing that. I remember doing that when I was a kid to my dad's Cortina once. I saw Starsky and Hutch, and I slid across his bonnet. Like
Yeah.
Starsky and Hutch used to. Yeah, I thought, oh, yeah, I'll just show off. So it's like, oh, yeah. It wasn't happy. I learnt my lesson. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. It dents down, but pops back,
Yeah.
pop like that, back
Yeah.
up again.
Yeah, but it seems like it'd been pressed in the middle and then let go.
Okay. Do you know what I'm going to say to you now? Don't for God's sake, honestly, don't have a car wash. Leave your car really dirty. Have you thought about checking it? Sort of like for prints or anything like that, because it must have held on to something. I don't know what type of car you got. I wish it was like the old-fashioned cars with a chrome bumper where it had a gap and you could get a proper print off it. They're all plastic now, but
it's a Fabia.
Right. Was it the wheel arch? It could be the wheel arch it grabbed hold of.
Yeah,
It could be.
It's but so initially I thought I was rolling back. Well, it was effortless for this thing. I mean, there was no strain, there was no resistance. Even though I tried, it just like to me, like I say, at first I thought I was back in a dip, and it's not. It's a hard, flat surface, right up to the wall. There's no dip in the back for me to roll back. Time to sort of get enough reps to pull away.
Yeah.
But it just second time though, it was definitely like I'm going to hit the wall. I was getting really, really nervous.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I said, "Oh, please stop, man, playing around, you silly buggers." But the third time I drove off, but I was getting like, oh. But it was weird. It just seemed effortless. When I was pulled back, it was just like there was no effort to it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to go forward, and I'm just first time I'm sort of like, what's going on? So I stop, put it in park, handbrake, and this time I'll give it a bit more oomph. And again, I just go back, and again it's just as though I'm trying to slightly apply a bit of pressure to accelerate round to the right to get back on the main road. I'm just being pulled back, and again it's effortless.
Okay.
It's like no resistance.
Yeah,
and I thought I was going to hit them. And again, apply the brakes, put it in park, handbrake. I think I probably said it afterwards, but again, I'm just, my heart's racing. I was like, oh my God, they're just going to pull me in. And, so third time, and this time I drove away.
Did you, was there anything on your car? Any marks at all?
No, I've not looked. I've not, I just don't want to. It's just like, how big are these prints?
Exactly.
I'll go and look. I will, but so far I've not. Because
I mean, I'll put it up on here as well. The photo that I love is that handprint, that you've got.
Yeah.
If it was on the car, and say your car's dirty, that might, it doesn't matter. I can wash my car today. Tomorrow it'll be dirty anyway. So it's going to be dirt on it. If there was a handprint, much like the one you had before, my word.
I do. It's normally a couple of months. I don't get the car washed. But there's normally a lot of muck inside and outside as well before I get it cleaned.
Yeah, same as me. Just leave it. Really, I just like, because I always think, well, as soon as I wash it, it's going to get mucky again. It's just, but no, if you don't mind, just let us know about that. If the car, check it, and And obviously, if there is anything, just you know, I mean, this is not live. This is going to be recorded at this time, but
Mm.
because I want to put the photos up and other bits and bobs up. So if Ian does see anything or gets anything on, you know, the prints or anything on his cart, then and he sends me the photos, I'll load them up onto this video as well.
Yeah.
But no, that's amazing. When you pulled off, there was no. I got to ask. There was no bump. There was no.
No. Just they say the 2 times I was pulled back, it was effortless. But
Okay.
the first time I just thought, oh my god, you know, there's a dip, so you get a bit of natural rollback, and there wasn't. Because when I'm pulled away, I look, it's hard. It's a hard flat surface. It goes right up to the wall. And the second time I got pulled back, like I say, I was pooing it.
Okay.
So yeah.
Blimey.
So
Yeah. No, yeah. Check the car. Check the car. Do you?
yeah.
Do, I want to keep on the subject really of, if I can, of woodwoes, as I
Mm,
call them, because we've got a very long history in this country of them
yeah.
on carvings on churches and in wooden slates and, you know, stories and folklore. And
Yeah.
they always carry a club with them. Um, they all seem to carry a club, huge, big hulking thing with a club. They are on carvings that I've seen, kind of less Bigfoot looking, more human head looking on
Yeah.
carvings. I don't know.
I mean, it's like I say. I mean, I spent a lot of time listening to Steve Estelle, and like I say, from a lot of the descriptions he gets, you know, they sort of a human-looking face, but over um, like a sort of wider nose, higher cheeks,
Mm,
but again, very human-looking.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
say, I really do believe they are part of the human family. They say the mitochondrial DNA is 96% female, human, and 4% male unknown.
mm,
And same could be said for you know, the wolves. There's an element of human DNA in there as well.
yeah,
Yeah, there's I think there's been a couple of studies done,
yeah,
but there certainly seems to be a sort of mix up, or you know, some sort of, like, you know, they've come from some sort of experimental breeding program. You know, because you know, last time before, you know, it's like discussed. You know, I think there is a certain element of an outside influence or input into some sort of biological engineering.
yeah. No, no, I do. I think more and more along the lines, because I was reading an article recently. See, with foxes, uh, they're actually part of the dog family,
Yeah,
and just recently there was a hybrid one that was seen, and it's now being examined. And what it is, it was a dog and a fox that had bred together and created this hybrid doxy.
mm,
I call it a doxy, but so it's kind of a, and you can see quite clearly that there's pictures on the internet of it. I'll try and get one up on here, and it looks quite clearly very fox-like, but with more of a dog's body. I never imagined in my life that, you know, that that species of fox would interbreed. But there we go. That's a fact. It interbred
yeah.
with a dog.
It's
So
like
there we go.
you know, you hear these stories about a cross between a polar and a grizzly bear,
Mm,
and there's pictures of them starting to surface now. What I think we call a grizzler bear.
mm.
You know, grizzly and polar.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Apparently, it's all starts from some sort of female polar bear that got off took a wrong turn somewhere and that breeding with a male grizzly.
Yeah.
And just started producing these what could be, I think, quite a large bear. I know you got like the Kodiak bears, which are supposed to be like humongous.
Yeah, they
But
are.
but you know,
Yeah.
if you got a cross between a grizzly and a polo, I think you'd certainly have a big problem on your hands.
Oh, there'll be a big problem in my pants. I know that. Blimey, O'Reilly.
Yeah,
And if I saw one of them in a forest, I'll be like, what the hell?
yeah,
It's not until you get close to one. I remember being I forget where I was now. I might have been Longleat, but they had a bear in there for a while. Anyway, yeah, it's paws, huge,
yeah.
absolutely ginormous. It's just incredible. It's like I used to go with work. I used to have to go to a zoo not far from here, and it was in the early morning, so no one was about, and I'd have to go in. It was to do. I was basically servicing in some of the sanitary stuff, and in the washroom area. So anyway, I was in there doing that, and I go past the tiger enclosure. Anyway, this tiger was lovely, really beautiful thing. And in the morning, it would be kind of like inquisitive, and almost I could see on its face. It would come up to the fence. It would go, "Oh yeah." I'll be like, right, how you doing? You're right. It's like, and it would just track me, follow me down to the bottom of the fence. It had a massive big enclosure, and right at the end, it would like it reared up. This is early in the morning. It reared up onto the fence.
Yeah.
Ian, when you're up close, it was like a fence and about 3 foot between us. 3-4 foot. It's so big. These things.
Yeah.
A tiger is just phenomenally big. It dwarfs me,
So
absolutely dwarfs me. So when people talk about like, woodwows or Sasquatch being like so big, and Dogman the same, yeah, I can quite well imagine that, seeing one of those like you did, a 12-foot one, is quite impressive. It's quite impressive
yeah,
to see.
it's like I say. I mean, the only 2 times I've ever seen Big Boss at Nooney Woods is, from some distance. I say the second last time, he was sort of sat down, and I was about 300 meters from him, but he was just this really tired looking, worn out look on his face, and I took pictures of him, and one minute he's there, one minute he's gone. But like I say, on all fours, he's about the size of a 4-ton Army Bedford truck.
Yeah, no sound. No sound.
No,
No.
just gone.
Yeah. It's interesting. I honestly do believe that there is a link up though with the more I think about it with these structures that they do, and I keep thinking, it's almost like a 3-dimensional crop circle in a forest. And I think that when you talk about it looks when you look down and you saw those trees and they kind of like look like a landing site, like a landing pad.
Yeah.
Maybe they are connected. Maybe they are connected. Yes, we talk about them being the DNA being shared to a certain degree. And maybe they are, because there's a lot of traits of them being animalistic. But then there's also when you talk about like your episode when they go on all fours and they disappear. A thing so big as that and it disappears like that with sound. That is not natural. That's not natural.
Well,
There's something to do there.
Well, I say, I mean, they have young. They leave big piles of poo all over the place. They leave prints everywhere. They leave lots of physical evidence, like say tree breaks and those structures. But they can just do a whole bunch of stuff that, which I'm sure to them is natural, but to us would appear to be supernatural.
Mm.
Like say cloaking and disappearing and turning up in one location. I mean, even when in the physical presence, when they move or on 2 or 4 legs, I mean, it's just like a blur. I mean, they just move
Yeah.
so fast.
Yeah.
Even when they're upright from a standing start position, it just it's just like a blur. You see them and then off or off.
Mm.
They just run.
Yeah. Yeah. But people have often said that when they see them, they will see, like when they see them running and they're going, a section of them morphs first, cloaks first. Do you see what I mean?
Mm.
It's like a part of them in it's almost like the old-fashioned on-stage magic trick where their hand slowly disappears up the sleeve.
Yeah.
They don't just go like that and boom, that's it, nothing. When they cloak, they kind of it's almost like they hand up the sleeve slowly. It's like they're walking into, maybe a invisible curtain of cloak, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean. That's what's strange.
There's, let's say I've got pictures of them doing what I would call a 50-50, where they're half in, half out. You can see the upper torso, but the legs. But again,
Yeah.
I tend to go for the fact the same hair structure that they have, like the Sabo people. That there's an oil follicle in the root of the hair. That
Right.
because the hair is hollow, it secretes, and then there's some sort of way when their hair is coated in oil in a certain way, they suddenly somehow bend or refract light, or there's some sort of electromagnetic charge that makes them has the ability to literally disappear right in front of you.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I know there's like the portal subject as well. I believe that they do have that ability to somehow move around like that. Same as because I mean, there's just too many accounts of Sabe people doing the same thing. You know, the balls of light, you like a probe or a recon, having the ability to get around from one place and then appear somewhere else later. Like they literally walk out of thin air.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really do think that they walk around. I mean, I've got pictures of them where they're cloaked, but you can see the outline of them.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I got that on video at Camberwell. Exactly the same. It clicked out, and you could see the branches and the bushes behind it, and the outline of the actual creature.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Has it did what? The one thing that gets me though is the sound. They don't. How can now? If I dropped a bear in the forest, if it was running away, it would make a sound. You can't help. You've been, with
Yeah.
your experience, and I know your experience, because we've chatted about it.
Yeah.
If you were sent on a mission, or if you were sent into the woods, say, right, okay, I want you to get to the other side of the woods, say paintball, just for instance.
All right.
And you want to get the other opposing team and to shoot them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be able to travel without making any sound in that wood?
No.
To alert the others.
No.
to alert your opponents? Would that be possible, being that you're the size of a truck?
No, but the thing is, somehow these things do. They do have this. I mean, I've had them walk round me. They deliberately bum 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 bum. Just to make you know that they're there.
Yeah.
But they say that there's been times when I've seen them walk in front of me on all fours, and it looks like he's gliding. But I can see the limbs moving in motion. But it's just like effortless. It's like nothing.
That's been
No,
spoken.
nothing's impeding it. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to, because sometimes when you walk through the woods, you got to watch where you're footing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the amount of times I've smacked myself on a stump or some low-lying branches on the floor, and you step on another one, it springs up and hits you in the shin.
I've done
You
that.
know, and, you're cursing every saint under the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite, so my particular favorite is just you get a bit of brush and you're going through, and it just manages to capture one of your one of your shoes. So you got your boot, and it just
Yeah.
captures it. But as you go to step forward, you're being held back by this like twine of brush. And you end up, for some reason, instead of stopping and like untwining it, I end up battling it.
Yeah.
Kind of like it's a tug of war with the forest. I don't know why I do that, but yeah, it's not. It's a place which, with the dips, the holes, I often come across and go down nearly, break an ankle because of holes covered
Mm.
up by leaves and stuff, and you can't see it. You
Yeah.
just forward, boom, that's it, and then
Yeah.
your footing goes, and your ankle's like does that. And it's like, oh, so it isn't a place which is naturally an easy place for these things to travel in such a manner, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I recall about one time I was sat in the woods having a coffee and sandwiches, and looked across this clearing, and it was a juvenile about 4 or 5 foot in length, and way off to my left there was 2 deer, and it sort of hesitated, and then it went. But the thing was, it moved so fast I didn't even see it. I didn't see that black blur screaming across the opening. I saw it go, but I didn't see the rest of the run to the deer. But the deer, they bolted,
Did they?
But I saw it come out low, out the tree line, and it's still, it's still like in a ready to go pose,
Yeah.
and it hesitated, kind of backed up a bit, and then thought, no, bugger it, I'm going, and it's boom. But I didn't hear, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear any sound because it probably about 200 meters across open terrain. Didn't hear anything. But
Okay.
these deer,
They knew.
knew it was coming. Yeah, they
They
bolted.
knew. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put another, because all the theories that we have, regretfully, none are proven, are they? But
No.
um, what about the theory that these things are or could be um, uh, conjured up? Black magic or some black magic rituals. There is voodoo rituals, and these voodoo rituals occasionally they utilize dismembering animals and putting the dismembered parts of an animal,
Yeah.
but kind of in a manner of a person, if you like, and doing incantations. And do you think it could be that?
I've never come across anything like that or heard anything like that. because you know there's an awful lot of chat amongst you know, people that we know or somebody knows, and they might know something more. But I've never heard anything or seen anything like that. But again, I don't discount that somewhere out there is a man or a woman that may have that kind of mojo.
Yeah, because it's also like with I mean, I've come across things myself in Epping Forest, and a particular part of Epping Forest where you find figures made of sticks, a bit like in Blair Witch, same type of thing. Symbols, not very big, small, but still symbols. So much so that it's like kind of they're twigs, and they use twine to intertwine the two sticks together.
Yeah.
Now I found that in a few places, usually where there is pagan monuments, stones, old monuments. I went to Dorset, and there was a Remstone circle. I found the same kind of signals there, as it were. And that's quite a hotbed round there for these.
I mean, I truly believe that there is an old school of witchcraft that pervades in this country. None of this Wiccan New Age stuff. You know, like I know, like Dorset, like say Devon, Dorset, Cornwall, Lancashire, Cheshire. I mean, Staffordshire's old school. And I would even suspect parts of East Anglia as well. What I would call, like, you know, where back in the day each village had a granny that, you know, could morph into a hare. Like she was the midwife, she was the doctor, she was known as it, and those people still exist in some parts of rural England. But I definitely believe that there is an old school traditional form of English witchcraft. But you know, they're not a midwife or, you know, some jealous girl accusing another girl of cavorting at midnight with a black goat or anything like that. But I really believe that there are some parts of this country that still hold true to certain traditions that are centuries old, but don't sort of go into crystals and
no, I don't think it's
Wiccan stuff, because you know I think a lot of that is just New Age. That's not to say that there are some genuine practitioners who have are quite adept at what they do, and then try to sort of make a financial living off of it. But you know, I mean, I would think a true witch would just keep to her local area where people, you know, like, oh, you need to go see Granny Smith down the end of the road if you want that done. And I really, I mean, there was a case down near Exeter a few years back where some cats had been buried at the cardinal points around a person's house, and the cats had had the throat cut. You know, which apparently is like you're gonna die sort of thing. And this person, this person just like sold the house and left. But you know these were buried at the cardinal points around the house. I mean, they even nailed one to the front door of the house. A cat.
Well, yeah, very often they you know, I think quite recently, and I think it still goes on, when there's renovations. I remember in a small village in Suffolk, and because years ago I was a plumber, and I was doing some work in this very old cottage, Lovely lady. Funny enough, she was a she won't mind me telling this at all. She won't mind. She was a prison officer for a number of years.
Mm.
Um, and I could just imagine her being a prison officer. She looked the sort, you know. I thought, yeah, I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of you, missus. And uh, she told me a funny story about, just a quick one. I know we divert a little bit off, but about Myra Hindley, and evidently with
Oh,
mm, and evidently when Myra Hindley was sentenced, category A prisoners, they
yeah.
never spent more than 3 months in any one prison. So they rotated them around different prisons all the while. Anyway, this category age she said we had then, and we didn't know at first who it was, but we knew it was someone really, bad. So
Mm.
so things have to alter within a prison. So like with the other inmates when they have their playtime outside, they can't ever mix. They have their playtime, then the category A, maybe even a single like her, she was on her own, would be allowed to
Yeah.
go outside on her own. Um, um, and she had a habit. She told me, this prison guard, she said she had a habit of, instead of ringing the bell by the gate, if you can imagine a corridor, and in this corridor is, in the middle of it is a central office where the guards were in
Mm.
glass. And then to one side of it, oh, where am I? Yeah, one side of it was a gate, and the other side of the office was a gate. One going in, one coming out. And anyway, Hindley was like kind of for some reason she'd never pressed a button, and they would like signal to her out the window, pointing to the button. Press the button when you want to go through. But she would always knock on the window every time, and it used to annoy them, the guards. Oh, crikey, really? She'd always tap a certain way of tapping. And anyway, she went out. They let her through the gate. She went and had her exercise. Anyway, uh, uh, thankfully, thankfully, when she died, no great shakes. The prison guard said that for a long, long time afterwards, at that time that she was allowed out, they would hear tapping on the glass.